Hello everybody, I'm Kay and today I want to go over 11 reasons why nail polish lifts. I want you to understand why this happens. I'm not just going to mention the reasons and then move on. I want to explain each point that I cover, and then I will circle back and cover the 11 things that you can do to prevent this from happening. I want to start off with the most common mistake that I see, which is flooding the nail fold. And the nail fold is that piece of skin that lines the base of the nail or the bottom of the nail. And the thing about nail polish is that it loves to be on nails and it is very strict with that. So when it makes contact to an area of the skin, it's going to inevitably repel itself by lifting or peeling, just because of the bad chemistry between these two. Because remember that skin has natural oils and also a texture that nail polish is just not interested in. Number 2, oil on the nail plates. So I mentioned skin oils, but let's talk about oily nail plates. So nails contain lipids, which are basically fatty components. Now, it's a bit unclear where these lipids come from. They could be from in between the nail cells. It could be from the supply of nutrients that the nail bed provides, or it could be from somewhere else. But regardless, oil is a part of the nail composition, which means that when nails are being created in your body, they come with just a little bit of oil. Otherwise, they would probably look really dehydrated and brittle, and probably not like what our idea of a healthy nail looks like. Now, the problem is that nail polish and oil do not mix well. They are not friends. They refuse to bond. So this can lead to lifting if there are oils present on the nail when nail polish is being applied. Number 3, nails buff to a shine, which I know can sound a little bit weird because buffing your nails can also help the nail polish adhere because buffing creates a rough surface. But if you are buffing your nails to look shiny and smooth as glass, that can create interference with the nail polish adhering to your nail because the nail is just too slick and too smooth to grab on or hold on to anything. Number 4 is applying overly thick coats. So what happens when thick coats are applied to the nail is that it's left to deal with that thickness and that abundance of nail polish that doesn't even get to adhere to the surface of the nail. And that thickness can also lead to these layers being stronger and possibly less flexible than thinner coats of nail polish. So then, when those thick layers dry and you inevitably go off to wash your hands at some point, that will trigger a change in the shape of your nail. And that shape change will pull, it'll inevitably pull on those thick layers of nail polish and it'll tempt it to lift away. Which brings me to number 5, nail plate movement. So let's talk about water and also nails, who unfortunately for us are besties because nails are hydrophilic. Nails adore water, they want it all and they will absorb it all. And water will happily go down the path of least resistance, which could be the tiny little pores on your nails. So what happens then? The nail changes shape, right? It expands due to the absorption of all that water. And if you take a good look, or if your nails are long enough, you can actually see the change in your nail shape. The water doesn't stay there forever. It does evaporate, which leads to the nail shrinking back down to its original size. Now, what does all this mean for nail polish? It just means that nail polish is sitting on an unstable surface, which contracts and expands. And all of that movement can create a degradation in the bond between the nail polish and the nail, which can eventually lead to lifting. Number 6 is painting over the cuticle, which is different from number 1. They're two different mistakes and they're also two different parts of the nail. So the cuticle is actually not alive and it is very stubborn tissue. It's really hard to get rid of it because the whole reason for the cuticle is that it creates a seal for safety. So we do have to thank it for that. But painting over the cuticle just means that there was improper nail prep, right? The nail wasn't prepared correctly. The nail is not 100% ready to receive nail polish. Now, when we paint over the cuticle, which can sometimes be jagged and elevated just because it's dead skin, that can create possibly little gaps of air that can let water through. You also have the problem of cuticle being dead skin, which nail polish doesn't belong on, so it will eventually want to leave the party. Number 7, not applying base coat or waiting too long to apply nail polish after you've applied your base coat. So base coat has several functions, right? But I'm just gonna focus on one, which is that it helps nail polish to adhere to your nail, because nail polish actually prefers to be over base coat than over a bare natural nail. Now, if you apply base coat and then you go off to do your chores and laundry and dishes and shower and this and that, no hagas eso, por favor, don't do that. The last thing base coat wants is to gather additional pieces of dust or get wet or be rubbing up against things. So keep that in mind. Number 8 is using quick dry top coat over water-based top coat, which is one of the main reasons why my nail polish lifts. So I wanted to bring this up because I feel like it's not talked about enough. So basically, anytime I use quick dry top coat over water-based top coat, it leads to lifting. In many cases, it's led to the polish popping off completely, like clean in one piece. So I don't know why this happens. Unfortunately, I am not a scientist to explain the chemistry between these two, but without fail, when I use those two together, it creates lifting, and in many cases, it has caused my entire polish to pop off clean, so I had to bring this one up. Number 9 is not wrapping the tip. You've seen this everywhere on the internet. It's a very common tip to cap the free edge, right? Which is probably the most vulnerable part of the nail. I mean, if you actually think about it, it's like the furthest part of our body, right? Unless you're doing a split or something, but the constant grabbing and touching and handling of things inevitably creates friction on the free edge, which makes it very vulnerable and prone to lifting when it's not wrapped in nail polish. Number 10 is using nails as tools. And I know how tempting it is to be like, oh, it's harmless, it's just one quick thing, and then the polish is ruined, or worse, the nail breaks. So nail polish is not very strong, and it's even less strong when you consider that it's being used on the tip of your fingers, which is what we use to do most of everything. Think about tools and how beat up and ugly they look after they're used, right? So using nails as tools is basically asking for the polish to get ruined, or worse, for the nail to break. Number 11 is damaged nails. So as with a lot of other things, if the foundation is not healthy and appropriate and ready for the next step, it can lead to faulty and possibly devastating end results, right? So let's say there's a tear in the nail and it's lifted because of that. That is not a great foundation to lay nail polish upon, because it can significantly increase the chances of the nail polish lifting around that damaged area.
Nice.
Now let's talk about solutions for each of these problems, starting with number 1, flooding the nail fold. Now the solution here is to be really careful and really aware when applying nail polish so that the polish does not reach and flood the nail fold, which, by the way, should be pushed back, but that is a nail care topic. However, if the mistake is made and the nail fold is flooded, you can correct this before it leads to lifting. All you have to use is a cleanup technique. You can use a nail polish cleanup brush, dip it in acetone, and trace a nice clean line around the nail fold. And ideally, you would do this while the polish is still wet, because if you wait for the polish to dry to then clean up, it is going to make cleanup a lot harder. A quick and easy solution here is to grab a cotton ball, dab it in acetone, and clean off your nail with that cotton ball during the prep stage. So before you apply nail polish, acetone is very dehydrating, so it will take care of removing any and all oils from your nail, so that way the base coat can adhere properly. if you're buffing your nails to a shiny, smooth finish right before you do your manicure, maybe consider not doing that, because you don't really want a slick and smooth glassy surface that doesn't really provide anything for the base coat to hang on to. Number 4, overly thick coats. We want the majority of the nail polish to make contact with the nail so that it makes a proper bond. Therefore, working in thinner coats is best. And yes, it could lead to a longer manicure time, because let's say that you have to apply 3 coats, then you would have to wait for those 3 thin coats to dry, but ultimately it is worth the wait. Do not shower and do not wash your hands. I'm kidding. It's inevitable. We have to do these things, right? But I would definitely avoid showering and washing my hands thoroughly right before I do my manicure. If you have to do that, then wait until all that water evaporates. Also, if you can shield your hands from the water, please do so, like when doing dishes. I do them manually, so I use these gorgeous pink gloves to shield my hands, also because I don't want to touch the nasty dishes. So if you're a person that's involved in a hobby that requires you to touch water a lot, then I'd say protect your hands as much as possible, and that way you prevent that expansion and then shrinkage of the nail plate, which causes pulling on the nail polish. Painting over layers of cuticle. So to avoid this, you just need to QA your nail before you begin painting it, right? To make sure you remove any stubborn tissue that's left on there. I use the Blue Cross cuticle softener. I leave it on for, I'm not sure, maybe about a minute before going in with an orange stick or with a nail scraper. And I actually recommend the orange stick if you've never done this before, but that makes it really, really easy to remove that stubborn tissue, leaving the nail nice and ready for the base coat. Number 7, not using a base coat or waiting too long to apply your nail polish once the base coat has dried. So I recommend you search the market for a base coat you'd want to try and give it a try. I use Orly Bonder base coat, which is a rubberized base coat, but definitely go out and take a look at the others. There are many, many others, but I do suggest you stay far, far away from the base and top coat combos. There are those that have that 2-in-1 function, kind of like those shampoos that are also conditioners. Yeah, no, I would recommend you buy a base coat that is solely a base coat. And then when it comes to applying nail polish right after the base coat dries, just try your best to do that, right? You want to follow the best practices, right? If you're in the manicure process, you want to make sure you're diligent and you apply that nail polish right after the base coat has dried. So in thinking about a solution for this, I have to consider the function of water-based top coats, right? Typically, they're used over stamping designs because they don't drag the design and ruin the polish, right? The design. So it has a good function. I'm not going to recommend that you don't use it. However, if you also, like me, feel the need to use a quick dry top coat once the water-based top coat has dried, then I'd say go with thin coats of each one. Do a thin coat of water-based top coat. Once it dries, do a thin coat of the quick dry top coat. I know it's really easy to overdo it with top coats because we want all of the shine, right? But in this case, I'd say go for thinner coats. You gotta wrap it, you gotta cap it. You have to give your mani a second chance at life. That's how I view wrapping the free edge. It takes like 1 second to do. Number 10, using nails as tools. I know it's very tempting. It happens to me, but just don't do it. Catch yourself and stop yourself. I know that I am always highly tempted to open packages with my nails, but I keep a cardboard cutter somewhere near my living room. So maybe consider keeping those really handy tools near an area where they're easily accessible, and that way you're not tempted or just given to using your nails as tools. Number 11, damaged nails. So it really depends on what type of damage we're dealing with and if you want to do and can do something about it. For example, are we dealing with a nail tear? And if so, can you file down the nail to where the tear is gone? Or can you use a nail repair method? I know that with my nail repair method, which I used for like 8 months, my nail polish did not lift at all. It did not cause any lifting. But what if we're dealing with a medical condition, with an injury, with an infection? In that case, I would talk with a medical professional and see if there's anything that we can do to make that nail healthy again. It's just nail polish, right? It shouldn't be that complicated, but it can be a real bummer to watch your pretty manicure get ruined in such a short amount of time. So keeping these things that I mentioned in mind can really help to prevent that lifting and can extend the life of your manicure. However, if you have tried it all and nothing is helping, I would say do not give up. Go ahead and post your problem in the comments section and the community may be able to chime in and give you some new tips. Or if you just have a tip that you would like to share, go on and share it in the comments as well, and we can kind of like turn it into a extra tips section. So those are all of the tips that I have to share with you today. I do hope this was helpful. And also remember that if this channel is a good fit for your nail polish enthusiasm, then go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for watching. Subscribe. Thank you for watching so much. Do. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you so much. Yeah. Thank you.